When a circle of trust is destroyed, there will undoubtedly be turmoil. The coven that banded together to oppose you is now disintegrating from within, with alliances crumbling hour by hour and secrets leaking like overturned cauldrons. They are apprehensive and wonder whether you had heard about their split. However, their apparently unbreakable devotion has vanished. And if you look at their self-destruction from a distance, you'll see that it's now just survival mode. Former friends quickly become adversaries, blaming one another for their own problems. The veiled accusations, finger-pointing, and hasty attempts to transfer blame. Those who sought your light are now confined in cages. They waged a spiritual battle against you in the darkness. When the holy light suddenly shines on a group of people who had previously opposed you in unison, the darkness dissipates like roaches for months, even years. This focused spiritual assault was functioning under your conscious awareness while you conducted their nighttime rituals, which targeted your energy field and sought to hinder your divine destiny. Their objective was to use your manifestation power for selfish gain. The coven that banded together to resist you is breaking apart. Their coherent front crumbles in front of you. The binding oaths they made against you are broken as each member betrays the others to protect himself. Their arrogance prevented them from grasping a basic world truth. Controlled energies cannot override a genuine divine assignment. When the time comes, the authentic item will eventually reveal the fakes. The unbreakable barrier deflects all lower frequency attacks back to their source. The true heavenly consent grows around its recipients. These days, your opponents are turning on one another with vehement accusations over who exposed us. They make demands on one another. Who fractured the circle? They accuse. They exchange secret messages, talk over the phone late at night, and call emergency meetings in a condition of hardly disguised anxiety. The conspirators' once strong trust has crumbled into shards of doubt. Everyone is silently concerned that someone else has covertly matched your passion. Everyone is concerned that someone in their company has become a double agent. The United Front, once a formidable opposition, has devolved into infighting and blame, with internal accusations flying like poison darts. Recognizing the cosmic error they made by targeting you were supposed to maintain the binding. Your altar work was sloppy. Your negative vibe permeated the workplace. You secretly admire them and have hampered our efforts. Why? Because their spiritual assaults not only failed, but also backfired, like arrows striking an invisible barrier. The vile energies they unleashed on your soul, mind, body, and circumstances were unable to penetrate the angelic barrier that shielded you. They've properly rebounded, puncturing their launchers. What was intended to make you ill now causes them to become unwell in an unanticipated way. What was intended to deceive you is now driving individuals to think in unprecedented ways. And what was planned to cause you financial difficulty now depletes their own resources owing to unexpected losses and disasters. And this is what keeps them up at night. The reason they shake hands and check their phones. Are they aware it was us? Your calm smile haunts them. Your unshakable demeanor scares them. Your continuous ascent, despite their best attempts, perplexes them. They are continuously monitoring your movements, reviewing your social media accounts, and analyzing your comments for any indication that you have identified them as your spiritual foes. They examine your casual remarks for underlying implications. They examine your visual choices for symbolic charges. They investigate the people you still contact with as well as those you have discreetly parted from, looking for patterns that may suggest your degree of understanding about their engagement. The ground under their feet becomes more unstable. During this time, individuals begin to discover flaws in the same foundations that have supported their spiritual pursuits, while new potential targets develop. The monsters they summoned to help them in their battle against you have now turned their hungry gaze on them. The defense they thought would protect them proves to be completely worthless against cosmic correction. This was a planned attack on your heavenly duty, not an unintentional spiritual assault. The favor that surrounds you, the divine connection that goes through you, and the spiritual power that responds to your command. These spirits saw something in you that they wanted for themselves. Rather of striving spiritually to acquire their own golden robe, they attempted to steal your destiny. After seeing it being put on your shoulders by forces beyond this globe, their goal was to take advantage of the divine assignment encoded in your DNA, siphoning off your spiritual heritage like vampires stealing blood, in order to avoid the advantages prepared for your hands. They arrived as friends. They presented themselves as mates. They gave assistance with poisoned smiles. They extended hands of friendship while hiding knives behind their sleeves. However, what did they get in return for their betrayal? Not your favor, but your fire. Not your differences, but your blessings. Not your light, but your darkness. They lacked the spiritual technology to understand what you've already learned and the problems you've faced and changed. Divine alchemy was employed to add information to their experience. Your comment has caused them the most grief throughout it all. You're here for a reason. If you feel called, answer it. Click join to have access to exclusive material, in-depth insights, and a supportive community. This is not just a membership. It's an awakening. Begin your heavenly mission. Join the selected. Please be informed that this message is just for those who receive the call. I discovered the terrible truth as I left by the Salvia Divan or room gateway. Our reality is only one harvested pod among many matrices. Do you already know this information? I saw archons, cosmic parasites that consume human energy, laugh and threaten. You will never awaken a single soul with the unwavering belief that you have been selected and are meant for something greater. This is the ability to not only withstand attacks, but to be turned into something even more remarkable by them. The pressure they used broke your carbon into diamonds, while the fire they lit transformed your clay into porcelain. Your silence on the subject demonstrates intended divine comprehension, not ignorance. The holy vessel never wastes valuable energy on pointless turmoil. The perfect chess player never discloses his winning move. And if the victim discovers the concealed hands, the excellent hunter does not notify them. Being quiet does not indicate weakness. Rather, it is the quiet confidence of someone who understands that spiritual wars are won before they materialize in the physical world. You rest in divine vindication as others try to control the harm. Despite clear proof of failure, some members of this wounded coven continue to cast against you, hoping to keep their standing among the others. The principal practitioner feels their tactics are effective. We just need more time. They reassure individuals who are wary. They argue that the link is taking root, citing everyday human experience as evidence of its efficacy. Your picture is still floating in murky bowls of water. Midnight candles continue to burn against your name, and your energy is drawn into their divination sessions as they frantically check to see whether their charms are working. Others double down in despair, unable to accept that a force bigger than their meager knowledge is protecting them. Others, however, have given up completely on understanding the spiritual blowback that has torched their own life, like a wounded animal lashing out in desperation. These are the most dangerous when they are almost dead. Nonetheless, the cosmic wheels continue to turn relentlessly. This whole group is liable for judgment because world law requires balance, not because you want vengeance. Your hands are still clean. Each conspirator's presentation of this judgment is unique. Notice how they tumble into the same abysses they dug for you. See how they deal with the specific impediments they created for your path. Examine how they manage the financial, interpersonal, or physical obstacles that are bound to arise in your life. Nothing in the universe is wasted, even mistaken evil. This insight applies to more than just you. This coven has been operating in the spiritual shadows for many seasons, focusing on numerous divinely appointed people who, like you, face challenges to the status quo. They have always used the same strategy to determine who is gaining spiritual authority in their social networks. Research their calling and talents, employ strategic spiritual opposition, gather the resulting energy confusion, and establish their own platforms and influence over stolen power. Many failed ministries, abandoned callings, postponed breakthrough coups, and bewildered intelligent people who couldn't comprehend why their clear divine mission had suddenly encountered strange hurdles. Bear their spiritual impressions. If God's goodness has touched you, do not keep it a secret. Click super. Thank you. So, please consider donating $10 or more to help spread His light. Your donation distributes grace, enriches hearts, and strengthens His kingdom. Allow His riches to flow through you. You are only one of many cosmic dominoes that are causing a series of revelations. Your breakthrough not only helps you, but it also provides a plan for reclaiming all of the stolen futures linked with this filthy spiritual network. When the time comes to reveal the truth, it can no longer be kept concealed. no amount of spiritual muck can ever totally obscure what the Almighty has intended to be revealed. This coven is unexpectedly brought into the harsh light of spiritual knowledge. Cosmic radiation, which renders concealment impossible, now exposes their altered energies, secret meetings, hidden goals, and created personalities. Those who played lesser parts and compromised their own spiritual integrity in order to target someone have an awakened realization of their own involvement. They were undoubtedly divinely sent to serve. Overcome with grief, horror strikes as they learn the true nature of the forces they have joined. Witness the aftermath as their once trusted friends suddenly recognize each other's true spiritual signatures. The energy vampire discovers that conventional meals seem to sap their life power, and the manipulator fails to persuade. When the targets gain clarity of vision and the fear-monger loses control due to concern, when courage awakens, mutual suspicion causes their combined malevolence to crumble. If they would do this to another person, wouldn't they do the same to me as well? This question has now taken over their thoughts about each other. No weapon formed against you will prevail, and every voice that speaks against you in judgment will be condemned. The name is Isaiah. Allow me to tell you a story. Family. A farmer had 2 wells. One was shallow, loud, splashing on the surface, easy to reach, but unclean. The other was deep, calm, and consistent. It took some time to draw from. However, after the bucket was full, the water was entirely cold. Some folks may not want to go deep. They observe your well as full and want to steal your bucket. That's what happened here. At the heart of their activities is the same snake of jealousy, creeping through the same dust it's always been in. They saw how you were divinely picked. They saw doors fly open for you, those they had spent years pounding, fasting, and begging for. Still, nothing moved. They opened for you, like if paradise were waiting. They monitored the pace of your spiritual progress, like jealous gatekeepers. Even when you mumbled, they could sense the power in your voice. You did not brag or flaunt. However, favor makes itself known. They were unable to bear it. Instead, we see God's multicolored grace and how He bestows various skills on different vessels. They saw your ascent as an affront to their efforts. They had not recognized you as a fellow light carrier. They saw your lights as a spotlight on their own darkness. They did not seek friendship. They wanted your flame. They wanted your platform, but overlooked the preparation. They wanted the oil, but had never crushed an olive. They coveted your power, but refused to accept responsibility. They desired the crown, but turned away from the cross. They desired your anointing, but refused to meet the requirements for getting it. They sought to use human magic to break a heavenly seal and reroute benefits bestowed upon you before you took your first breath. Attempted to hijack covenant alignments etched into eternity. That is not simply envy. That is cosmic treason. But there's some good news. They bungled every plan, ceremony, and curse. It bounced off the armor of God and wrapped around you like a second skin. No heavenly appointments have been canceled. Not a single divine resource destined for your hands has been delayed, and not a single promise weaved into your soul has been broken. Heaven's books are balanced, and they contain God's offspring. You are still perfectly on schedule. So stand tall, speak openly, and move confidently, because of what God has opened. No man, demon, or jealous soul can close. What seemed to be anchored was really being reinforced behind the scenes. What seemed to be suspended was being strengthened beyond your present comprehension, whilst what appeared to be delayed on the outside was being adjusted inside for optimum impact. When it arrived, what seemed to be a diversion was really a long-term aim. What looked to be a delay was really heavenly protection, and what appeared to be rejection was a flawless delivery. Those confusing times when it seemed that everything were slowing down were really the result of divine preservation, actively protecting you from being lifted too soon, which might have put you in danger. Cosmic intelligence was guiding you away from options that were nothing more than energy traps. During those dreadful times when it seemed that doors were closing without warning, ships continued to cruise along your shore. The divine connections designed for your next level continued to guide you unerringly. The spiritual upgrades inscribed in your destiny were still operating on cosmic time, and the abundance caravan planned for your life experience continued to travel steadily forward despite the sandstorms that had been created to obstruct its path. You are not here by accident. Feel the pull tab. Join to find out the truth, your purpose, and a community that understands. This is not just a membership, it's your decision. Regardless of interference, the social contract you made with crucial persons before to your birth stays in effect. Magnetic energies continue to draw them to your divine appointment. The heavenly downloads that were pre-programmed for your spiritual progress continue as planned, with cosmic firewalls guarding against corruption in their transmission integrity. Their transient alliances could not jeopardize an enduring friendship. Their limited comprehension was unable to comprehend the multiple precautions surrounding real divine appointment, and their limited might was unable to overturn limitless authority. They unintentionally waged war on you, not against a person, but against a cause, one backed by powers beyond human comprehension. Even now, you are being led to actual spiritual connection. As a result, relationships in which abilities are acknowledged rather than gathered, heavenly assignments are safeguarded rather than looted, and community celebration replaces secretive competition. The spiritual family assigned to your next stage of growth is growing closer. These sites provide free codes that will reveal your secret abilities. Spiritual powers have already reviewed and cleaned their energy signatures, guaranteeing that no malevolent intent may enter the holy circle that is being built around you. You are surrounded by unflinching protection. What you thought was revolutionary was often heavenly protection, so perfect that you strolled into battlegrounds unaware that wars were being fought for you. Cosmic intelligence kept attacks at bay while you slept. Legions of light have protected you, and angelic intervention has cleansed spiritual pollutants before they could damage your energy field. You've been traveling behind an impenetrable, invisible wall of protection that keeps off anything that might impair your divine mission while allowing positive energies to reach you. As this chapter of spiritual conflict finishes, there is a significant realignment on several levels. Manipulated energy is now flowing freely again. Spiritual powers that had been repressed expand in strength, and spiritual connections that had been momentarily disrupted become stronger than before. Participants in this coven must make two difficult decisions. Either bow to divine judgment and quit the simple yet effective road of spiritual rehabilitation, or continue to oppose and face escalating turmoil and confusion. In your case, the experience has made you more unique, not less. Your calling has been confirmed by the same opposition that attempted to reject you. The attacks intended to injure you have stimulated spiritual muscles that would otherwise be inactive. Nowadays, authentic anointing is easily distinguished from contaminated frequencies, misaligned intents, and spiritual trickery. These are superior spiritual senses that can greatly benefit your purpose, not hypervigilant paranoia. Now that you've been awakened to spiritual reality, you know that all you've been through was planned. It was not an unintentional mistake, but a deliberate attack. It was not regular exhaustion, but deliberate energy deprivation. And these were not unintentional setbacks. However, the chaos was designed to divert your attention. Awareness itself becomes a spiritual weapon. The spiritual disguise has collapsed. The concealing methods have failed. And masking spells have failed since you can now see the previously concealed parts of opposition. Rather of instilling fear, this realization validates your worth. Coordinated spiritual attacks are never directed upon individuals who have not been appointed by God, and such massive opposition is never generated in response to trifling matters. Darkness guarantees that no resources are spent on those who do not question the existing quo. Their endurance verifies the outcome. Your complete activation presents a challenge to bogus power systems. The intricacy of the attacks unwittingly indicates the strength of your genuine spiritual talents, whilst the intensity of the resistance acts as a gauge for determining the scope of your heavenly task. Their hostility has expedited your spiritual growth, something they could not have anticipated. Your development has accelerated dramatically as a consequence of their attacks, which have resulted in muscles that would have taken years to mature otherwise. Their resistance has resulted in substantial modifications in your spiritual DNA. The fire, which was meant to kill you, has instead cleaned you quickly. The solitude that was meant to weaken you has instead resulted in an unmatched connection with the divine source, and the strain that was supposed to smash you has instead decreased your development time, making you smaller. They expected you to be smaller, yet you were larger. You have achieved more progress than anticipated. They plan to eliminate you off the spiritual chessboard. You moved several squares beyond where they expected you would be. The cosmic irony is well balanced. They unintentionally contributed to your mission's early birth by seeking to terminate it owing to the barriers put in place to prevent its natural development. What was planned for later seasons now emerges with more force, since resistance created conditions for supernatural adaptation. Your rapid maturation perplexes spiritual observers on several levels. Your fast mastery of abilities astounds others who anticipated much longer learning curves. And your quick recovery from prior traumas defies typical spiritual development timelines. Allow this information to resonate with your spirit. What was supposed to bring you down has instead become the driving force behind your greatest achievement. The coven that has banded together against you is abruptly dissolved in turmoil. The practitioners who sought your demise are now attempting to save their own. The spiritual prison cells that were constructed to imprison you are now in jail. Their creators, who were formerly fighting against your light with a unified aim, have now fragmented into many species, frantically seeking to survive the collective energy that was once laser-focused on your destruction, now distributed in unpredictable self-defense patterns. The spiritual technology designed to stifle your evolution has failed horribly in the hands of its inventors. They question themselves uneasily. Do you think they understand it's us? As you enter, you will feel more freedom, power, and divine favor. Doors that open without human intervention, resources that come suddenly, divine connections made by supernatural synchronization, and expedited manifestations that decrease years of development to weeks or days. All of these examples show tactile realism, which supports the evidence. The universe itself attests to the validity of your stance and the impropriety of those who disagreed with it. This chapter concludes with their exposure, as decreed by heaven, rather than your loss, as they had intended. What seemed to be chaos was really well-planned cosmic choreography. What seemed to be a setback was really a smart spiritual setup. And what seemed to be random anguish becomes intentional preparation for heavier responsibilities in the future. The divine timeline unfolds with perfect precision. The case is closed since the divine has spoken. The cosmic winds of change blow with hurricane fury through constructs built of controlled energies and shadows that previously moved against you, destroying all artifice and fully imposed constraints like fog before the morning sun. All skillfully made walls will shatter under the weight of divine choice, and all purposefully established frontiers will collapse. Your destiny moves forward unhindered. They escaped the hard realities of your terrible destiny. They tried to dim the light, but it blinded them as it approached the divinely intended brilliance. They tried to suppress the energy, but it now overwhelms their senses as it reaches its full capacity. And they tried to silence the voice, but it now reverberates at frequencies that dispel their earlier delusions. Now stand fully vindicated. Proceed with superhuman assurance. Speak authoritatively, backed by heaven. Created with an unshakable vision. Love with unlimited compassion. Forgive with heavenly insight, and change with irresistible speed. They never attacked you because of your weakness, but because of the greatness that was inside you. And that which has been fully awakened, conscious, and activated cannot be limited, restrained, or compromised by any force in heaven, earth, or beneath. The whole creation gives testimony to this everlasting determination. Your holy responsibility continues in effect. Your cosmic purpose develops, and your spiritual authority grows.